Hello, I'm Nicole Keller and welcome to Saddleworth News. Coming up on this month's programme, the latest on the forthcoming by-election. We will be looking at the controversial parking proposals for Upper Mill, and finally, Little Red Riding Hood visits Civic Hall. As many of you may be aware, as a result of the Phil Wallace ruling, we now have a by-election. So who better to get the full story off than Saddleworth News editor Richard Jones. Over to you, Richard.
This by-election has been called because the result of the general election here in Oldham East and Saddleworth has been declared void by a specially convened election court. And they found that the Labour MP Phil Wallace had broken the law when he deliberately told lies about his Liberal Democrat opponent Elwyn Watkins in campaign leaflets. As part of his punishment, Mr Wallace has been banned from holding public office for 3 years, so he's not able to stand in this by-election. Often it's national issues which dominate by-election campaigns, and this one's likely to be no exception, with all the parties already arguing back and forth about the proposed spending savings announced by the coalition government and whether they're fair or not. But there'll also be some local matters to talk about, including the decision to scrap the Building Schools for the Future programme, which meant the planned new secondary school at Diggle had to be shelved. Then there's also the potential impact of the new Tesco which has just opened at Greenfield. So who's going to win? Well, the bookies make the Labour Party favourites, and it's not difficult to see why. They've won the Oldham East and Saddleworth constituency at all 4 previous elections that it's been contested. However, there's one big unknown factor surrounding their support, and that is how will local voters react to that Phil Wallace scandal, that controversial campaign, and those leaflets that he sent out. We just don't know. There's also the fact that the Liberal Democrats will be very, very keen to try to win this. They've taken a lot of criticism since joining the coalition government, and their party will be desperate for a morale boost that a by-election win here would provide. And don't count out the Conservatives either. They gained a lot of support in May's election, where Labour and the Liberal Democrats both slipped back, and they'll be keen to cause an upset too. And for regular updates from the campaign trail, log on to our website, saddleworthnews.com. Back to you, Nicole.
Controversial plans proposed by Oldham Council will introduce parking restrictions on most of the car parks in Upper Mill. This has caused a great deal of discussion amongst the business community, especially businesses based in the centre of Upper Mill. Local businessman Nick Watts was so outraged by the proposals that he started a petition to try and overturn the decision.
Well, I work from home. My business is providing internet and IT services. So there are a couple of problems with that. Firstly, when I have people come to visit me, I have to ask them every 2 to 3 hours to move their car, which is a little bit of an interruption to the business. Secondly, I live here myself, and we've got 2 cars and 1 car parking space. So it means that we're going to have to stop 2 to 3 hours, 7 days a week, between the hours of 8 and 5, and move one of our cars. 7 days a week, that's asking quite a lot.
Well, this started 3 years ago when it was first mooted, this timed parking in Upper Mill. It was in 2007, and there was a crisis meeting of a lot of the businesses and residents, which was extremely well attended. In actual fact, we had 2 or 3 meetings, and we invited councillors Richard Knowles, John McCann and Royce Franklin along to those meetings, and they came along and talked to us, and I think they really realised then just how passionate people were about it. As a result of those meetings, we did a survey throughout the village. We knocked on residents' doors, we knocked on businesses' doors, and we actually tried to speak to actually everyone in the village and make them aware of what was being planned. We did a complete survey, and we compiled all the figures, and it sort of worked out that there were 520 people in necessary parking spaces in the village, and there were about 200 available.
Well, it's already affecting the business, the parking problems. We do have a lot of stressed customers coming through the door. They're always late because they can't park anywhere. So this is actually before the restrictions are coming into effect. So what it will affect after the restrictions are in, my business will suffer. I mean, the girls, we all get here before 9 o'clock in the morning, and we struggle to park, and that's without the restrictions. We can't go out every 2 to 3 hours, and where do we move our car to? We're running, as you can see, we're working. We can't just keep leaving clients and going looking for somewhere else to park. I think it's a total ridiculous idea, basically.
I struggled to park this morning. This 2 hour and 3 hour parking, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. It's going to make it worse rather than like doing it good for the village. What it really needs is more parking spaces. rather than trying to get people moving every 2 minutes. It needs parking for local businesses and also like the residents who are struggling to park as well.
There just clearly isn't enough parking in Upper full stop. That the businesses that need park all day are using up the spaces that potential customers could be using for their business, and I don't think that they realise that all day I sit and watch the car park that's full with people coming and going, not being able to park. I think we need to find a space where we can have parking outside the village, where it's a park and ride, so that people who want to stay all day can park outside the village and free up spaces for their customers in the village centre.
The areas affected are Smithy Lane, the Hare and Hounds and the King George V playing fields. These would have a 2-hour parking limit with a 3-hour restriction on the museum car park. The car park near the leisure centre above Upper Mill would not have any restrictions. This year's Christmas show at Upper Mill Civic Hall is Little Red Riding Hood. The show is being put on by Springhead-based theatre company Hardgraft, and it's the 3rd year in a row that they've done a Christmas show in Upper Mill. We went down to the Civic Hall to find out more.
Our audience are primarily 3 to 7-year-olds and their families and their school teachers and anyone who really likes a good old tale, really. I love pantomime, but I've got 2 children and I think that panto is too long for littlies. So I decided that I would test the water and see if I could write a Christmas show for smaller people, for 3 to 7-year-olds. And this is our 3rd year, and figures have doubled year on year, so we're doing something right, I think.
So I've worked for Hardgraft before, so we did Babushka's Christmas Gift the 1st year, and then Elves and the Shoemaker last year, which was lovely. So yeah, this is the first time we've ever had a baddie, so it is quite different. It's got a different feel to it, but great. And the response this morning was brilliant. They really, really loved it. Yesterday, we had a lovely little girl who I asked her to come up and help us bake a cake, and she just burst into tears. And then from then on, any time the wolf came on, she burst into tears. And it was like a domino effect, and they all kind of started crying at one point. But no, they were brilliant. So, but the response this morning was great, really, really good.
It's a challenging prospect because I've never been hated this much. It's great. The kids, the first show we had the show Tuesday. And they were crying, not Tuesday, yesterday, they were crying. I had 2 girls crying, 2 little girls. I walked out there to do, because I'd do an entrance up around the back. And this girl, she was being taken out already, and she just looked at me and went, I was like, oh my God, sorry. Oh, it's great. But no, it's cool, I like it. I like being hated this much.
We run to December the 31st. So, and this, as I say in Oldham, the 8th, while the 31st of December.
So that's it for this month. If you have any stories that you think will interest us, then contact us through our website at saddleworthnews.com. On behalf of the cast and crew here at Saddleworth News, we would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care and thanks for watching.